minute, Jack. This is a friendly celebration.
I don't much like the way you celebrate.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to mention a guy named, a former Navy SEAL named Mike Glover, Glover. He has a YouTube channel, and I've sent out some information. I've sent out some of his stuff, and there's Ken Bennett. Hello,
Hi,
Ken Bennett.
Hello, guys. How are you?
Good. Paul Fitch and Zack Taylor are joining us tonight, and I am Don Woolley, and Jeff.
Thank you for reminding me.
I know. Well, we got to remind ourselves, right? That was for me, not for you.
Am I here yet?
Yeah. And I sent out an email from Jeff Utsch that he's busy navigating the Atlantic Ocean waves and is not going to be on with us. So
Okay.
kind of rough seas out there today. So last 3 or 4 days, it's been pretty rough. Anyway, what I was mentioning to the guys is, and we can get started. There's a guy named Mike Glover. He's a former Navy SEAL, Glover. I've sent out some of his YouTube stuff. And I mentioned him only for the fact that for all the folks that are maybe concerned about church security, in light of what happened up in Michigan, but not only that, it's happened in other churches around the country. Does your church have a plan, a real plan? Duck, hide, and shoot back is not a plan. So your church should have a real security plan in the event of, especially preparing for possible mass casualties, etc. So anyway, I mentioned Mike Glover because he's a former Navy SEAL, knows a little bit about security, knows a little bit about triage training, and he will come to your church for free he lives in Utah now, but he'll come to your church for free to sit down with your security teams and go over all those things. And a couple of things he mentioned is, and you should get your sheriff or your police chief to come to your church and talk with your security team and work with them, as a team. If your sheriff or police chief won't do that, he said, get a new one. Because that's
a new church or an
part
okay,
of, yeah, that's part of your job. A new sheriff or a new police chief, that's part of their job. And the other thing he kind of mentioned was that if you're talking seconds here. You're not talking minutes. If the police get there in minutes, a lot of people can get hurt or die in seconds. So you're talking seconds here. If you carry a weapon, he recommends, if you conceal carry, to carry it into church. If the church says no to conceal carry, then he says you need to get a new church. And that's just his opinion, right? Because there's no one else in there going to defend you. Anyway, that's just some stuff I wanted to mention about Mike. And if you know of any churches or anybody's talking about church security, I kind of mentioned it to our church, our pastor, and also a guy that's a member of the security team. And I got the answer of, we got it covered, or we're okay. But when I asked about, do you practice scenarios, the reply was no.
Yeah.
So that didn't make me feel great. So I am wearing my gun to church, and
Wow.
because I'm going to defend Patty to the death. So anyway, any comments, anybody on security
Yeah,
of churches and everything?
it's interesting that I just got an email from my brother. He sent me first. He sent me the fact that a Texas judge has said that the carrying a gun on the post office grounds is, or the prohibition against carrying a gun on the post office grounds is unconstitutional. Now the question is, did his injunction or his ruling cover everybody in the United States and all post offices in the United States, or just the ones in the Texas area that he's the district judge for? That was the first thing. So I wrote him back and I said something about, I'm the church security at my church because there's only 8 of us, and but one of the other parishioners carries a concealed weapon, and the priest carries a concealed weapon. So we've got a lot of firepower for an 8-man church.
Well, you guys are ready, man.
We're ready.
3 out of 8's not bad at all.
That's right. You got that's like a
I'm
whole
gonna have to
platoon.
find 40. I'm gonna have to find 40 people at my church.
Yeah,
Well,
you could surround them, Paul.
yeah, and your church again just prohibited the carrying of guns, from what I read. Not your church building, the Mormon church.
I have not heard that. Of course, I do. We are trying to get away from the quote Mormon name, but the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is the official church that was attacked in Michigan, and that's the church that I attend. And so we've got to, as fate would have it or whatever, this weekend is the long planned weekend that we have twice a year, where we don't always meet in our local congregations, but we can dial into a big conference that happens up in Salt Lake City and then is broadcast throughout the world. And I'm very interested in what the policy of the church is going to be. And I always wonder whether one of the challenges for churches is whether or not they announce an official policy or not, or whether you say one thing and you're doing another. I would think that there's some value in telling the world that we have a policy and that we're doing it, but similar to an airplane, we don't tell people who the marshal is on an airplane, and you try to create a knowledge and a deterrent from that knowledge without getting into too many of the details of who it is and what your plan is. But I'm very curious. I had not heard whether the church officially has come out and said whether people are prohibited. I take a weapon to church, but I usually don't take it in the building. That doesn't do much.
No, that doesn't.
The friend of mine that I talked to, when I asked him about that question about scenarios, his reply was, how did he say it? He said, "Well, we're kind of like a wing and a prayer kind of thing. We're hoping that our presence will scare them away, and that they'll go somewhere else and shoot that up."
Well, if they're carrying shotguns, that might work, but if they're carrying concealed weapons, I don't think it's going to be much of value.
So yeah, I didn't get a warm fuzzy from that answer. So anyway, I don't want to go overboard and press people. I don't really care what the plan is, but I just want to get the sense that they're prepared, because we have a worship center during the fall season when the people are coming back from up north. We have capacity for 775 people in our in our church and in the main area, and I get really concerned. They can't lock the doors, right? You can't lock the doors because of fire.
Well,
stuff.
I was just speaking at a meeting. It was not a public meeting. It was a leadership meeting that was being attended by 40 or 50 people from the West valley of the Phoenix area. It's called West Valley Leadership. There's organizations all over the state where you can, learn how to be a better leader. And years ago, they invited me to come to these and explain the state budget. So I was just at the Capitol, the Arizona State Capitol this morning. And even though I'm recognized as a former state senator, I went through their metal detectors and removed the contents of my pocket, and their security took my little 3-inch pocket knife that I carry as a good Eagle Scout. And I was pocket knife less for a couple hours when I was in the building. And, so the Capitol has taken the effort and made the requirement that you go through security. But in this case, the one in Michigan, the guy didn't come through the front door. And I mean,
well, he kind of did, but he came through the front door in his pickup truck.
Well, I looked at the building, and he didn't go through a door. He went through a closed end, a brick wall of a closed end of the literal building. He did not. The accounts, or the news account said he drove through the front door. I know what I mean. LDS churches are very similar in some respects, and I could tell from the looks of the building, this guy didn't drive through the front door. And so, even Arizona State Capitol level security that I dealt with this morning, going through metal detectors and things like that, would not have deterred him in the Michigan situation from driving through the end wall of the building.
Unless they had a prepared, a really prepared security team that would have reacted to that right away, that would have said, hey, get the people going this way and we're going that way.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the people all heard it, and they all started running to the spot because they thought there had been an accident or something, right? They didn't know what had happened. And of course, they were just all targets, right? So that's
shocking. Shocking.
Yeah, it's terrible. So and then to set the whole place on fire. I mean, the guy was, and evidently, he just, there was some, I don't know if you guys saw this or not. I saw a guy interviewed that was running for a city council position that had talked to the guy last week, and he just had a hatred for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Well, apparently he had some type of he had dated or something, had some
some kind of interaction,
some type of relationship with a quote woman from Utah. And not everybody from Utah is LDS, by the way, but I guess that relationship had not gone the way that he wanted it, and I'm sure other things had led him to have a hatred for the LDS. But I don't know. I mean, it's happened in other situations, other churches. I mean, we've got to. Wow.
Yeah, we got some loons out there. So we send you, Ken, for your church. We send our sympathies and our prayers because
and for President Nelson's death.
Yeah, it's
well, and then it corresponded to President Nelson's death the night before, and so that was kind of bizarre. People were wondering, could those two events have been? But there will be a new president of the church and prophet chosen within the next few days. I don't know if it will be, the decision will be made and be announced this Saturday and Sunday when we're having this semi-annual, every 6 months, big conference that's broadcast all over the world and stuff like that. But the next week or so, there will be a new prophet announced. And according to the history and procedures of the church, it's going to be, the new prophet will be none other than the former Chief Justice of the Utah Supreme Court, a fellow by the name of Dallin Oaks. So very, justice oriented and kind of a tough, probably history that he understands. And, he's been a lawyer and a
Yeah.
justice, and so it'll be interesting. I've been wondering whether and how the church is going to react, and I'm looking forward when we finish today of getting on the website and seeing if the church has made a formal announcement. But
certainly the church in Salt Lake City has a super security plan. Yeah.
Has to. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I lived there for a while, and I know how that's all set up, and with the tabernacle and et cetera. And they must have, a real tight security and a pretty staunch security team. So, because, yeah.
And I'm sure it evolves over time, because my wife and I and our children were visiting Disneyland 20 years ago. And we happened upon the number 2 person in the entire Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints at that time who was visiting Disneyland with his grandkids.
Wow.
No security around him.
Nothing.
So I'm sure that's an era that's bygone, or that's, long gone now.
Yeah.
That people at that level of leadership in large organizations or churches or other organizations just don't have that luxury anymore to be security less, even at Disneyland with your grandkids.
Yeah. Well, look at that. Look at the United Healthcare guy that got, he got murdered in, I don't remember what city it was in.
Broad daylight.
That was in New York, I think.
He was by himself. So
yeah.
Well, I have had death threats as a public official over the years.
Yeah.
I did not have personal security afforded me 24/7 by the state of Arizona.
How did they do that, Ken? Did they do it by phone? Did they phone threats? Did they mail you threats? How did they do that? How did they threaten you?
We had
what kind of communication?
Phone,
email?
all 3. We had email, phone, and U.S. mail.
Wow.
Well, you must have been doing something right.
I hope so. I think so.
Yeah. That means you were effective, right? Just like Charlie Kirk. There's no doubt in my mind that's why they killed Charlie Kirk, because he was being so effective. So
yep.
So let's go on and talk about the government shutdown. And so I remember last week, Ken, you thought it'd last maybe 36 hours, right?
It's about that time. I just lost that bet.
Well, I don't think we're probably
we're more than halfway through October 2nd, and I think it started October 1st. So I'm right on the verge of losing my 36-hour prediction.
We're getting close. So, but we don't know what's going on under the hood back there either. So, they keep voting, and a couple of Democrats drop off, and a couple more, a couple come on, and a couple come on, and et cetera. So, anyway, any comments about the government shutdown so far, and how much money is that going to cost Arizona, Ken? Since you were so intimately involved with the budget and everything, how's that going to affect Arizona?
Well, as I explained to this leadership group this morning at the state capitol, in the current budget year that we are operating in, Arizona's budget starts on July 1st and ends on June 30th. So we are a fourth of the way through the 2025-2026 budget. In any given year, and especially in this year, the state budget for the state of Arizona this year is about $23 billion. The federal and mostly federal, but other monies that come in is in excess of $40 billion a year. Yeah. So when the state of Arizona is spending $23 billion doing all the stuff that it does, more than double that is coming in one program or another of federal money. So it's a big deal. And when I was talking to the group this morning, when we got into our Q&A time, I asked a group of 40 people if anybody had already started to feel the effects of the federal shutdown. And a lady in the leadership group said, yes, she raised her hand. She said, she works at the Phoenix Raceway, so she's in the private sector, but her husband is the payroll H&R processing guy for the Arizona National Guard. And she told me that literally at dinner last night, so in the evening of the very first day of the federal shutdown, she said her and her husband were talking about the fact where he disclosed to her, for example, that there are had been on the phone all day with contractors who had contracts to do whatever they do for the Arizona National Guard. And he said one of them in particular, contract had expired on September 30th, was due to be renewed on October 1st, and would have been renewed on October 1st, and money would have flowed to this company, but he couldn't do it. And he said that the owner of this business that couldn't have their contract renewed was expressing huge concern to this HR and accounts payable processing person for the Arizona National Guard, that he had people that worked for him that needed to be paid, and yet he couldn't sign the papers so that he could be paid, so that he could pay them. I mean, and this lady that was in the class that I was talking to said, I mean, there are people feeling it right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, $40 billion for the state. So that's, what is that like?
That's $2.5 billion. That's $3+ billion a month.
A month. Yeah. So that's daily a lot of money. And
it's already affecting people today, or even yesterday.
Yeah. So the pressure's
now,
on.
I hope you guys, Zack, are you getting your retirement pay as a former Border Patrol agent? I hope.
I don't care.
Well, and I hope that means, and this is a compliment to you, Zack, that you don't live on a paycheck to paycheck situation where your world's about to come to end if you don't get one paycheck. Right. But this lady was describing a contractor for the Arizona National Guard who had described to her husband that that's the situation they are in. And there are way too many Americans that do live paycheck to paycheck, and just a few days or a couple weeks of disrupting that income flow is a big deal for too many Americans.
Yeah. This paycheck to paycheck thing I've never subscribed to it, and people that do are making a mistake.
Well, I've never ascribed to it. It's just been many years that I didn't have any choice.
Well, that.
I remember those days when I was a student. Yeah, trying to make ends meet. But yeah, it's some people never get out of that mode. I mean, it just they're handed some credit cards and they just never get out of the mode of I've seen people use credit cards for everything, right? They go spend $1 at the drugstore and they use a credit card, right? Mm-hmm. And and how many cards do they have? We have friends that we have a couple that's good friends that we have. We go out and eat with once in a while, and they told us one time we were sitting there talking, and anytime there's a credit card that'll give you cash back, right? They apply for it. They have a drawer full of credit cards. I looked at Patty and I go, "Oh my God."
Well, how else is the government going to track them if not through their credit cards?
I know.
That's right. Well, we're getting ready to have digital IDs like they have in China.
So I just put up this thing. Can you guys see that on your screens?
I can see something, but it's so small I can't.
Okay, sorry.
This is someone's representation of what will be disrupted and what won't.
This is one of our congressmen. Congresswoman Kat Cammack, who's the 3rd congressional district in Florida, and she sent this out today. So I thought it was a pretty good summary, and so she
Well,
goes through here about. Go ahead.
What
Ken.
I heard was that 85% of the money that the federal government spends is still happening.
Still being
There's
spent.
about 15% that's going to be disrupted. Now that's still a large number, but yeah, 85% of the federal government will continue to operate, but there's going to be some effect, as I was just describing from this lady that I talked to this morning, that there will be disruption in the other 15%.
Yeah.
I went over the list and it doesn't look like it's going to bother me. So.
Well, yeah, and that's the whole thing. Everybody's looking at it. Well, what's he going to do to me? Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, here's one of the interesting one. It says taxes. The IRS will keep operating. Tax refunds and extensions are still due. If you filed for an extension, the deadline remains October 15th. So obviously the IRS isn't affected at all. So.
Well, I think there's some features about what the president has available as options while the government is shut down with regard to retaining federal employees.
Oh, yeah, right. Exactly.
And I think that when the Office of Management and Budget sent directives to the departments to make separation lists and identify employees to be separated, that was a harbinger. That was a suggestion that something could happen during this shutdown that nobody's talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
What you got to watch, what's going on now is the markers, not what they're saying, what it sounds like they're saying. You got to kind of match that up with what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And if the OMB is doing that to all the agencies, they're anticipating something that we're not talking about.
Well, I thought I read the other day that the president had made up a list of about either 250 or 750,000 federal employees to be released. I mean, let go, boom, not furloughed, fired. And some of them were not probationaries. But that's like, I don't remember the number exactly now. But
that's the interpretation I've had that I think Zack is referring to, is the president is hinting at the fact, and maybe it's more than a hint, he's almost outright saying that the Democrats trying to hold out for Social Security benefits for illegals, or not Social Security, healthcare for illegals, is going to create a situation where they can make some permanent adjustments to expense levels of the government that might be right what he's wanted to do anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And
said he was going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I saw an interview with what's his name? Russ Vogt is the OMB director, I think. Is that his name?
I believe
Office
so.
of Management and Budget. And I believe he said during that interview that he's got it all lined up, that they're crossing their T's and dotting their I's for furloughed employees. So, yeah, I think that's exactly what's going to happen. We're going to see a chunk of a chunk of the employees let go, and I guess several hundred thousand, maybe you guys heard 100, 200,000 took that deal where they were offered some separation money to just quit, right, to leave, because the ones that did not want to come back to work, in their office.
Right.
Yeah. So that's at least 100,000 workers. I think it's more than that. So,
well, I think this is going to be parlayed. Right now, the Republicans are saying that the reason there's the government shut down is because the Democrats wouldn't agree to the deal. and wanted to put the healthcare money for the illegals into the program. I'm getting a lot of feedback that says, "Oh no, we didn't say that." Maxine Waters was talking to a reporter, and she said, "No, we don't want to give health care to the illegals. We want to give health care to everybody." So she kind of walked on it herself, but the bottom line is, if the message can get out to let's take DC area, the federal government people are half Democrats. I mean, more than half Democrats. It's a very blue area, and if we can knock off 750,000 of them and blame it on the Democrats, that could be very handy in the next election.
Oh yeah, and here's their list. They wanted Medicare coverage for illegal immigrants, paying more for their emergency care than American seniors, children, or disabled patients. They want to reinstate Obamacare subsidies for non-citizens that low-income Americans cannot access. And they wanted to preserve California's gimmick, and I'm not sure what this is, but it says California's gimmick to funnel Medicaid dollars into its illegals only program. So that's what the Democrats are fighting for there.
That's good. That message needs to be promulgated nationally.
Yeah, exactly. Interesting things here that I can see is the Postal Service stays open. You guys want to comment on this, please do. TSA officers and air traffic controllers will be working without pay. Passport applications keep moving here and abroad. Contractors are not guaranteed back pay. That kind of falls into what you were talking about, Ken. Not only could they miss their contract, they're not going to be back paid either. So
our mail was delivered today, so that confirms what you were saying about the post office is working. Now, whether they're too bad we can't set up the federal government so that if there's a shutdown, the senators and representatives don't get paid.
That's a good point, because I saw Andy Biggs has sent a letter saying he's going to refuse this pay while this is going on, and some other congressmen are jumping on that too. So yeah, I agree with you. There a lot of Republicans are declining their pay right now, which is smart. Another smart move by them.
What we need is the Democrats to be under that requirement, and this thing be over in a hurry.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Now, as far as immigration goes, it says visa and passport services continue. They're fee-funded. Immigration courts for detained cases proceed, but non-detained cases will be rescheduled. And border agents and ICE officers will keep working as they are essential. So there you go.
We love you, Zack.
Yeah, we love you, Zack. That effort keeps going, boy. And I was thinking, you guys have seen the debt clock, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I would love, and I sent this message out through Truth Social to our leaders. I said, why don't you put together a deportation clock that has not only daily deportations but total, and put that out on the wire, right? And let people see that every day. Don't you think that'd be a hit?
It could be one of those two-edged swords. That they're already whining about no due process, and
well, I don't care about the whiners.
I understand you don't care about them, but they also vote. That's the problem.
well, they vote more than once. That's the
vote early, vote often, right? But,
anyway, I think that'd be really cool, because I know a lot of people look for those numbers all the time, and there's a couple of unofficial websites putting numbers out, and it's over 3 million now, according to those places, including self-deporting and actual ICE deportations. So
only 27 million to go.
Huh? Well, whatever that number is,
37 million.
Yeah, Zack thinks it's a big number. I don't know. What does Tom Homan say, Zack? What's his number? Do you know?
Yeah, he says, listen to Zack.
So it's 37 million, right?
No, well, in his position, he doesn't want to nail it down because if it turns out to be something different,
Yeah,
or
sure.
is represented, or the
Right.
numbers are skewed, or there's been a cover up, or all the other stuff that can happen, he'd rather point to Zack and say, "Listen to Zack."
There you go.
There you go.
By the way, everybody, if you had a White House tour scheduled or a tour of the Capitol, those are canceled. So
Oh,
you'll have to change your travel plans. Some national parks are open. Open air memorials are open, but without staff. So I don't know. I don't see anything else big on the list. If anybody wants to make any other comments. Let's see, military and veterans. Our men and women in uniform will still defend the nation every day, but they won't get their paychecks until Congress acts. Back pay will be guaranteed. Veterans benefits and health services will continue, but some administrative programs may pause. Burials and headstones processing at national cemeteries will still go forward. So there'll be no interruption in veterans being buried.
Yeah, the only thing I read was that the pre-need program where you can actually used to be you had to wait until you were dead to go get a spot in a national cemetery. You had to be dead. Now they have what they call a pre-need where you can say, I want to be buried in that cemetery. And they're not processing the pre-needs right now. So it's not a big deal, but that's one of the only benefits that look like it might affect me if I were thinking about dying, which I'm not.
Yeah, there you go.
Good.
Yeah, we actually put our Patty and I have our we have our reservation in Pikes Peak veterans the new Pikes Peak Veterans Cemetery in Colorado Springs. So we've already put our names in there. So you can kind of reserve a place now. And there's another big one here in Florida that I bet Zach's heard of called Bushnell, which is
Wildwood.
Just outside of Wildwood, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So okay, there's the government shutdown. So let's go on to the Iowa School Superintendent. Have you guys heard that story?
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Have you all heard that story?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
I heard he submitted a resignation letter.
Yeah. I heard that too, Ken.
But it sounds like he overstayed a visa. I came in the country like 30 years ago.
Yeah, 1999, I think.
Or 27 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I think he's overstayed the visa for 10, 15 years. And
he didn't have a doctorate degree. That was fake.
Oh, I haven't heard that one because they have been referring to him as Dr. So-and-so.
His PhD was fake.
Was that fake? Oh my.
Yeah. He was
a witch doctor.
Witch doctor, yeah. He had a weapons charge against him already, and he was carrying a loaded weapon in his car. Yeah.
Well, I have an honorary doctorate from North Central University. So if you guys want to start calling me Dr. Bennett, that's fine too.
All right. Good.
You mean like Dr. Jill?
Yeah.
Dr. No.
So, Dr. No.
Hey, Ken, I got a question. I got a question for Ken.
Okay, sure. Let me mention this one more thing about this. Our superintendent. Just one more thing, Zach.
You bet.
The lady that runs the school board was an aide to Michelle Obama. Did you hear that?
I heard that.
And she's running for Joni Ernst's seat.
Yep.
Wow.
So just keep that in mind. So you would think that this would totally kill any chance for her to be elected in Iowa to that seat.
How many thousands of people listen to our podcast in Iowa, Don? It's got to be
I don't know.
Right?
There must be 10 or 12.
Like the Jimmy Kimmel audience.
Yeah.
That actually was on Fox News today with the Republican candidate outlining the whole situation.
I saw that interview, Zach. Yeah. So go
Hey,
ahead,
Ken.
ask Ken your question.
Ken, here locally, of course, we know that the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints exists, but we've always called it LDS.
Yeah, that's the Latter-day Saints.
Yeah. And somewhere around here, I've got a Book of Mormon.
Okay, yeah.
I do too.
Yeah, I have one too. I
So
was given
am I
one
going
when
to have to call that my LDS book?
Well, just to make sure we all know, the Book of Mormon was changed in its title by the church 20 years ago to the Book of Mormon, Another Testament of Jesus Christ. Now that's long, and so everybody just still calls it the Book of Mormon, but the Bible, the LDS Church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, uses the Bible, both the Old Testament and the New Testament. The Book of Mormon is a history of a group of people that left Jerusalem about 600 BC and came to the Americas. And one part of they fought back and forth, and one part of them was destroyed in about 400 AD. So it's about 1,000-year history, 600 BC to 400 AD, of a group of people who were in the Americas. And the most important part of the Book of Mormon is when we believe Jesus Christ, after his crucifixion and resurrection, and he appeared in the Jerusalem area, appeared to these people that were in the Americas. And that is the most important account in the Book of Mormon. But it's the Book of Mormon that obviously got us being called the Mormons years ago. But we don't worship Mormon. Mormon was one of the leaders of this civilization that at the very end of that 1,000 years, there was a man named Mormon that kept the records and put the book together. And that's why it's called the Book of Mormon, but it's a testament of Jesus Christ. So
I think mine has that annotation.
you have one of the newer ones, probably.
Yeah, I think so.
We bought a new home in the Salt Lake City area in 77, 78, I think it was. And the builder was, of course, from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He was a member, and he gave us a Book of Mormon.
At that time, the Book of Mormon would not have had the Another Testament of Jesus Christ as part of its official title. But about 25, maybe 30 years ago, the church added that to the name of the book to emphasize that it's not a book about Mormon. It's a book about testifying of Jesus Christ being the Savior of the world.
Yeah. Good. Thanks, Ken. Thanks for the little history lesson there. That's good. So, any more comments about the superintendent?
I think he's in nice custody.
Yeah, he is, and believe it or not, there's people protesting to let him go. If you can imagine that.
I understand that the school board finally fired him.
Yeah, he resigned.
I heard he resigned. I heard he resigned about the time that they probably were going to fire him, but they'll try to take credit.
First, they suspended him with pay.
Yes.
Oh my!
And then
$286,000 a year salary.
Plus he had a car, right? $600 a month car or something.
There were some other bennies too that went with that.
I mean, this guy was. You wonder who in the world did this background check, right?
Well, he lived the American dream, didn't he?
You should see some of the cases that HSI prosecutes on Nigerians.
Really?
Yeah. The con men that come from Nigeria are A plus ultra. They are good.
Well, he was good. He got away with it for a long time. So
still do.
Yeah.
I remember when I was running our family business years ago. Now I have a sister doing it, but I used to get almost weekly letters from some and emails. Somebody in Nigeria needing to transfer money to the U.S. and would we help them?
Yeah, and I think they're still coming out in emails. Yeah,
and Nigeria is also the place where in the last 10 years they've killed 160,000 Christians.
Christians, yeah.
I mean, there's a genocide against Christianity going on in Nigeria.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening in Nigeria that I don't want any part of.
Not good. So you wonder if they'll deport him back to Nigeria. They'll keep him in prison a while. And
well, where's he from? He's not Ghana. Yeah, he's from Ghana.
Yeah, he's from Ghana. Yeah.
Something else that came up on my radar last night.
Go ahead, Zach.
In Minneapolis, Minnesota, HSI has been digging into immigration fraud.
Yeah, I saw that story. I saw the attorney. Yeah,
and it's really my entire career, I was aware of the level of fraud with immigration.
Yeah.
It was horrendous.
Yeah.
And people made money off of it. I mean, I'm talking about 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I knew about it.
Yeah.
And then lawyers that were employed by the Immigration Service who advised the Commissioner of Immigration were some of the ones that were committing the fraud.
Good job.
Better than somebody on the inside, right?
And when we would find this out and write it up, nothing happened.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, now I have once we're finished with the superintendent in Iowa, I have a question for Zack.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ken.
Now the time, Zack, in our emails the other day, you said something about you thought the results of the recent special election with Grijalva's daughter was skewed or something. What I looked at those results compared to some previous elections in that same district, and it seems to be consistent. I mean, Cochise County is very unique.
Yes, it is.
Because I mean, there's some, and you know it well. You're from Santa Cruz County, but I mean, there's some pockets in Cochise County that lean very heavily towards Democrat, but there's also pockets that lean very heavily towards Republican. For example, in the 2024 election, the part of Cochise County that's in Congressional 7, that's the Grijalva district, had it was almost like 2-1 Democrat. Raul Grijalva beat Gutierrez, I think it is Daniel Gutierrez, the Republican nominee.
Mm-hmm.
But in the other part of Cochise County, Juan Ciscomani, the Republican, beat Kirsten Engel more than 2-1 in that area of Cochise County. So in 2024, Raul Grijalva beat his Republican challenger kind of 2-1, 6,500 to 3,900, not quite 2-1, but and then in the special election that was just held, his daughter Adelita beat the Republican, same Gutierrez guy, kind of a 2-1 thing. So what was the skew that you were concerned about in that district?
The fact that it's a special election. And talking to people in Santa Cruz and Yuma counties, waiting to see those results.
Okay.
And if you look at where the largest number of votes were cast and how, that's where the question was raised.
Okay, thank you. I'll take a look at that and maybe do some research on the Pima and Yuma County, or you said Santa Cruz and Yuma?
Santa Cruz, Yuma, Cochise.
Santa Cruz. Okay.
and part of Pima,
When I looked at the
Okay, so-
numbers,
where the
When I-
special election occurred.
yeah,
Okay,
when I looked at the numbers, the thing that I noticed was um, the mail-in ballots were heavily Democrat, which is never a surprise. But the walk-in day of the election things were also completely skewed, and usually Republicans kind of dominate the day of the election.
well,
results.
in Cochise that happened.
Yeah.
In the special election with Adelita Grijalva and Gutierrez, the Democrat won the early mail-in voting
Mhm.
almost 3-1.
Yeah.
But that was, there were over 4,000 people that voted that way. There's only about 300 that voted in person on election day, and the Republican won that 170 to 120 or something.
Well, I want to remember historically, I've been here 36 years.
Yeah.
16 as county chairman.
But you're only 29.
Yeah, right.
How can that be?
The day that I went down and registered to vote after moving here from Texas, I registered Republican. When I got my card in the mail, I was a registered Democrat.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Okay.
There you go.
I was told by old-time immigration officers, both at the port and the Border Patrol, that ballot stuffing was an art form in Santa Cruz County.
And remind listeners who might not be from Arizona how small Santa Cruz County is.
It is the smallest county in the state.
And the poorest county, right?
93% Hispanic.
So it's the Nogales. It's the Nogales area.
Yes, Nogales. I think there's only supposed to be 17,000 registered voters. I've seen it as high as 23.
Okay.
I know for a fact that 7 or 8 ballots to different names go to the same address. I got a nasty letter from the post office that 109 of the mail outs from the Republican Party we sent based on addresses on the voter rolls. No such address existed. And so you just go through one after another, and you keep seeing this guy that you went to his funeral 10 years ago is still on the voter roll.
Yeah.
And bless his heart, he still votes.
Still voting. Yeah. And votes the same way, right?
John Kyle, our former Arizona, one of our U.S. senators, jokingly said that when he died, he wanted to be buried in Illinois because they do that in Illinois. But I guess we can do it right here in Arizona too, huh?
I can tell you that in the 2020 election, that I wouldn't sign the post-election verification of the voting machines until after I talked to some people in the Republican Party, and they said that regardless of what we thought in Santa Cruz County, we weren't large enough to make a difference in the overall count, and it wasn't worth the amount of money and effort to take it to court.
Yeah.
Now, I understand the thinking, but you have to start somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I have released, and I think I've mentioned it before on this podcast, I've released a 5-step or 5-point plan on how to make sure that our elections have integrity. And the first 2 points of that plan is publicizing the voter rolls, the official voter rolls that are cut off 29 days before an election in Arizona. And so that's supposed to be the official list of who's eligible to vote in that election. And I think we should do this on a county by county basis. Publish the names and addresses of the voters in each county in Arizona that are eligible to vote, so that you can see the kind of stuff that you're talking about, Zach. 8 people or 28 people or whatever registered at an address that has a 2-bedroom house or something.
Yeah,
But
or a vacant lot.
The first two steps are publicizing in a very public way the list of voters by name and address, and then the day after the election, publicizing the same list of who voted to make sure that there's nobody that voted that wasn't on the first list of eligible to vote, because these kind of games get played all over the country, and right here in Santa Cruz County, Arizona. I think Santa Cruz is unfortunately the most corrupt county in Arizona.
Well, there's some others that are trying to emulate them. Let's put it that way.
Yuma, Pima.
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen a Mexican voter ID card?
No.
Oops, you've paused again.
Oh, yeah, you paused too. I'm sorry. No, I've never seen a Mexican voter ID card.
I should send you a copy. It has the photograph, the complete biography, and a fingerprint. You don't have that, you don't vote in Mexico.
Yeah.
And it's a hard laminated card issued by the state government where the person resides.
Yep.
Or through them.
Yeah. Yeah. You're exactly right. If we did even a few of the things that liberal controlled countries outside of the US do to control their voting, the Democrats would go nuts in Arizona or in the US on how tough it is to vote in other countries. And then they scream that we can't hardly propose doing anything here without them saying, you might disenfranchise a couple of voters. Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah. In the 20
now, I don't want to disenfranchise any American voters.
No.
But
you have to be a United States citizen to vote.
Yeah. I agree.
Well, we have cities, and well, I think didn't New York City, didn't they vote to let illegals vote in their city elections? Or
I think Boston did too.
Yeah.
Well,
so
there's
who in your right?
There's
who
9.
In your right? Go ahead, Ken.
There's 12 or 13 states that let people register to vote at the time they're voting.
Yeah, I know.
Same day registration.
Right. Same day registration. Yeah.
You could have voted in Blythe, you could have voted in Quartzsite, Arizona, and then drove over to Blythe, California, and voted and registered on the same day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because California allows same-day voter registration.
And they probably did.
I think Vermont, New Hampshire, and a couple of those New England states do the same thing.
Well, you think about that. If you grew up in this country and you had any kind of civics in even in grade school, and they proposed to you to say, okay, in our local election in my little town in Iowa, we're going to let illegals vote. You'd say, well, but why would I agree to that? Why would anybody vote to do that?
Even not illegals, Don. If your little town, if you proposed in your little town in Iowa that you would somehow let Americans from the next town in Iowa come in and vote in your local elections, they'd go berserk.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So it's just hard to believe some of this time. But some of the more we see, more guys we see deported, detained, arrested, the more, like Zack said, this big thing blew up in Minnesota with this immigration fraud and these fraudulent marriages where they were let them invite in family members that should not be here, right? I mean, we're talking about hundreds of people there, and they're onto it now in Minnesota, and they're looking in other states now. They said they had some data that they were curious about. Now that they've revealed this in Minnesota and they're going after people, they're going to other states to find it too. So anyway, we've reached about the end of our time limit, guys. We're on 7:30. Is it 5:30? What is it time there? 4:30 there?
4:30 here.
Yeah. So listen, I want you guys to know next week is the 1-year anniversary of this show. 52 weeks. Show number 52. It's actually a little more than 1 year, but because we missed a few days. But anyway, I hope everybody can make it back next week. We'll.
I might be on the road.
Okay. Well, if you can make it, Zach, please,
I'll
please
try
join
it.
us. Yeah. I think
Interstate 25. Sometimes I don't get a signal.
Yeah. Oh, I hear you. Yeah. Where are you going to?
25. That's from Santa
Going
Fe
up,
to
going to
Colorado.
Mexico,
Raton.
Colorado, Raton. Raton,
It's just
Mexico.
right on the Colorado border.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know they have that? They have that big, huge NRA shooting range.
Yeah, that's where I'm going. They're
There
having the
you go.
World Championship long range
Yeah.
muzzleloader matches.
They have an unbelievable shooting range there. Just
Oh, yeah.
unbelievable. Yeah. it's
I was a
incredible.
Boy Scout in Cimarron, New Mexico, at the big Boy Scout ranch.
Philmont.
And Philmont, and I was injured on the very last day. I fell off a big boulder. I stepped on a boulder climbing up the Tooth of Time, and it tilted over and rolled over me, and we thought it had broke my ankle, and I went into shock, and I ended up in the Raton Hospital where they treated me there. So
Well, you weren't hurt bad if you survived that.
that's right.
Yeah, I actually did the Uraka Trail and a few others when I was there as a scoutmaster.
Yeah.
And 2 of my Eagles were chosen to do the National Junior Leader Instructor Camp.
Cool. Yeah, I'm an Eagle Scout, and I went to Philmont 1 year when I was a boy. It was a great opportunity. So
Did I hear that?
Hope you can join us, Zach.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope you can. We hope you can join us next week. Did I hear that JD Vance was an Eagle Scout?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So there you go.
You
Ken.
never say was. You never say was, though, Don.
Yeah,
Is
like a Marine. It's
once
like being
you
a Marine. Right?
once you is an Eagle Scout, you already is. You
Like
always
being an
is.
airman, right? Hey, what did you guys think of Hegseth's speech? I wanted to ask you that before we leave.
I loved it.
I loved it too.
Cox
I
Chief.
did too.
Fox
I got
Chiefs.
so
Let's
far.
see.
I've heard about 15 of the 45 minutes, but it was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
I want
great.
to see the
And
results.
I know General Keane. You know General Keane on Fox.
Yeah.
He said that he made this comment. He said that he thought it was great. He heard from some generals there. They thought it was great. And he said that any general there that didn't agree with it shouldn't have been there. So anyway, with that note, thanks everybody for joining us tonight. Thanks Zach and Paul and Ken, and God bless you all, and God bless America. We will see you
Amen.
next week on the 1 year show. Thank you. Good night, guys.
Good
Hey,
night.
guys, thank you.
If you want to change the world, start off by making your bed. If you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. It will give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task, and another, and another. And by the end of the day, that one task completed will have turned into many tasks completed. Making your bed will also reinforce the fact that the little things in life matter. If you can't do the little things right, you'll never be able to do the big things right. And if by chance you have a miserable day, you will come home to a bed that is made, that you made. And a made bed gives you encouragement that tomorrow will be better.